So, ever since Islands of Giant Pokemon, at least once per season, we've had an episode where the Pokemon and their various trainers are separated from one another. This is normally thanks to the actions of Team Rocket. Today's episodes is just like those episodes, but the main gimmick here is that it's mostly focused on the Alolan starters instead of everyone's Pokemon being separated as usual. Either way, today let's look at a series tradition, so let's get into it. We start off our episode with Ash and the others watching Popplio make balloons as practice. After an accident, both Popplio and Rowlet end up stuck inside of one of the balloons as a strong wind blows them off, lifting them off towards town. Ash, Lana, and Marlo decide to chase after the Pokemon, but fail and decide to find their respective Pokemon in town on the way. Meanwhile, inside of the balloon, Rowlet of course is freaking out and accidentally breaks it, causing it to fall. Rowlet tries his best to catch Popplio, but unfortunately the seal Pokemon is a little too large and Rowlet can't, lift it up and fly at the same time. So Rowlet decides to do the next best thing and flies under it. However, Popplio is still too large and they both continue their plunge. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is doing things and the pair fall onto them as they're setting up their base in Bewear's den. Rowlet accidentally ends up trapped in a ring that James is trying to put on a satellite dish, and the pair quickly recognize each other, with Jesse and James coming up with a plan to get Rowlet and Popplio and use it in a long game to get Pikachu. However, Popplio forces the group back with Rowlet, and, they fly off into the forest. Well, not fly, but you know what I mean. Meowth and Marinette give chase, but when Jesse and James and the rest of the Pokemon decide to chase after them, Bewear ends up stopping them, and they're forced to stay there till Bewear goes to sleep. As they flee, Popplio and Rowlet are continually confronted by Meowth and Marinette, when Litten of all Pokemon pops in and saves the pair, knocking Meowth out. In order to move around, Popplio puts Rowlet inside of a balloon as Litten shows them the way. The trio meet up with Stoutland and Litten's new home. Stoutland gives Rowlet a lick and recognizes Ash's taste or smell or whatever, and tells Litten to help the two Pokemon find their respective trainers, which Litten begrudgingly decides to do. Meanwhile, Ash and the others are still looking for their Pokemon, when Rockruff helps Ash realize, it has a strong sense of smell. Taking the scent of Rowlet from Ash's backpack and Popplio's scent from Lana's hand, it decides to give chase over the two joint scents. Meanwhile, Team Rocket, on the other hand, manages to actually get away from Bewear as it's fallen asleep, and make their way to reunite with Meowth. And, because this is pretty traditional for this point, as soon as the group are close to each other and actually passing each other, a net falls on Rowlet and the others, and Team Rocket captures them as their cries are heard by Rockruff. Jesse and James, of course having succeeded in snatching at the Pokemon, meet up with Meowth and lock their captives in a cage. Standard fare. The trio notice Litten and then try to convince them to join them, considering the fact it's a wild Pokemon and not an owned Pokemon already, only to be met with embers to the face. Litten decides to distract Meowth and others with a giant sob story, much to the irritation of Jesse and James with their inability to understand what it's saying, and Meowth refusing to translate. Meowth yet again tries to convince Litten to join them, and much to everyone's shock, Litten does agree this time, supposedly. However, the clever cat led a trap for the other cat, and manages to get itself out and knock Meowth away in order to free Rowlet and Popplio. The three attack, sending Team Rocket flying as usual, as Ash and the others arrive to grab their Pokemon. Lana hugs Popplio happily, and Ash frees Rowlet from his ring, before spotting Litten and giving it thanks as it takes off. Meanwhile, Team Rocket continues their plunge, and as they're about to head to the ground, Bewear captures the group and takes them back to the den, ending the episode. So overall, how's the episode? It's honestly pretty good. It's a standard Pokemon separated from their trainers episode, and it works in that regard. It's not one of the best ones, as some of those have more comedy angles or do things to keep the Pokemon trainers separated, or have some unique combinations such as giving different trainers different Pokemon to work with and stuff like that. But having an episode solely focused on the Pokemon does work. Of course, the three starters play off each other well. Litten continues to be a standout with a strong force of personality, managing to trick Team Rocket due to their, habit of giving sympathy to people that are similar to them, or in this case, Pokemon similar to them, and using that against them for a clearly clever gag. Team Rocket themselves work really well, with Meowth yet again being pushed into battle this season, and getting royally stomped as always. Honestly, out of all the seasons that we've seen so far, I think this is the season where Meowth gets the most attempts to try to fight, only to back off immediately because he knows he's going to get his ass kicked. So, while there isn't a lot to do with this episode in terms of content, it's still a pretty fun episode and worth the see, but it's not a must see.